Plaza Theater. Welcome in on Tuesday. We'll start with something that's hard to figure. In moments of crisis, the Red Cross shows up to help people. Oftentimes, in the case of a fire, people's belongings are destroyed, so the Red Cross gives them a debit card to use to help find a place to stay. After a devastating fire last week at the Ramon Mobile Home Park in Palm Springs, the Red Cross has been trying to help victims to get rooms at Motel 6, but they're being denied due to the hotel's policy that renters must provide picture ID. How are they supposed to provide ID when they've lost everything in a fire? People called Motel 6 corporate and were told even with Red Cross or a secondary payer who has ID, they still won't rent out a room at this time. The downtown Palm Springs Motel 6 manager would consider accepting guests if they get a picture ID by the end of this week. Is this really what they're doing? Making someone already processing trauma and the loss of everything further victimized just to obtain temporary housing? Our contributors tonight, Stephanie Miner and Jim Walker. Jim, what do you think about this policy in general?
Yeah, this is ridiculous. Do you really think that Motel 6 knows everyone that is staying at Motel 6? People have friends over, they have hookups, all kinds of things. So to say that they absolutely know the identity of every customer, it's ridiculous. These people need help and they need to make an exception.
Stephanie?
I agree with Jim. This is ridiculous. We have people who are in serious need of help. Again, maybe some of the people that are staying there have fake IDs. They don't know who's coming in and out of there. There has to be a way that they can make an exception and get these people into a safe space.
Yeah, as you hear this story and you start to think, and it sounds like a bunch of corporate mumbo jumbo, should the manager be able to override the policy in times of disaster, Stephanie?
Well, of course, I think so, yes. And I think that the manager should be advocating for this. I don't know the manager, and maybe that person is, but there's got to be something that you can do. It is not okay to just let people be on the street because they don't have an ID that's burnt in their house. This is insanity. Something needs to be
I was going to say there is one thing that individuals can do, and I do this just as a matter of policy. I have a picture of my license, of my ID card as well, my California ID card, as well as my driver's license. I have pictures of my credit cards. All of that is stored on the phone. So if something should happen, you do have a backup ID because you never know. You could drop your ID somewhere.
You know what's really weird about what you just said, Jim? And I just realized this. I too have pictures of your credit cards and I've used them.
Yeah, it's good to have that. I mean, Apple Pay is great, but what if you need a traditional credit card, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Never know.
Okay, Stephanie, you got it. Okay. You may have heard the city of Palm Springs just inked a deal with Oakview Group, the same folks behind Acrisure Arena and the Plaza Theater, to manage the convention center starting September 28th. That contract is worth up to $3.6 million over 5 years. Oakview beat out the current operator by offering lower costs, higher capital investment, and a plan to turn a $750,000 annual deficit into break-even or profit. The move comes amid a $100 million renovation aimed at boosting downtown tourism and visitor experiences. City expects a smooth handoff and says Oakview typically retains 90% of existing staff during transitions. It's a bold bet on being upgraded events and financial stability. Oakview now runs the convention center, Acrisure, and when it opens, the Plaza Theater. Stephanie, I'll start with you this time. What do you think of that?
Well, I mean, I think that it's good because they obviously know what they're doing. I understand maybe the nostalgia for what we've had, but what we've had is not working anymore. I love hearing that they retain about 90% of their employees. I think that that will keep the good things going that are happening in the convention center. What do you think, Jim?
Well, I was going to say I prefer local people running local things, but on the other hand, you never know if someone from the outside, like this management group, could have some fresh ideas that could really help with that $750 million deficit. That's a big deal. Pardon me, $750,000 deficit. We don't want to make it worse. It does concern me, though, with the CEO under investigation, that there might be more people in the company that were involved with that stuff back in Austin. And I probably would have held off on approving this until all of that is resolved.
You know, I personally think you need to have the company with the best reputation and ability to perform in a position like this. I don't know, when I look at it, they are controlling major venues here, the major venues that exist. But given their track record, as you point out, Jim, It seems to me like it's not a bad idea. And I know local people want to do it. I get it. But these guys are real pros, Jim.
Right. Yeah. I mean, they're experts in running these big operations all over the country. And as Palm Springs grows, we have to kind of accept that we're going to have to allow more of that more of that big time, big city management if we're going to have these big projects really be successful.
All right, last night we talked about noise complaints at the Palm Springs Surf Club. Then we got complaints about us. You can't win. Let's start with General Manager James Dunlap, who talked about the situation. So how much noise are the neighbors complaining about?
70 decibels, a little bit of bass here and there. That's really what I'm hearing.
Okay, and since I don't understand the decibel world, and I think the contract said 50 decibels, but it's 70 decibels. So speaking to a normal human being, how loud is that? What does that mean?
That's my gut speaking right here. Literally.
That's 70 decibels?
Well, 55 decibels is what the code is. But yeah, I mean, we're talking just like this right here. It's not much at all.
Okay. Well,
if we're working these machines and people running around, kids screaming, that's impossible to keep it under that.
So that topic really divided our viewers. First, let's summarize what our Facebook community thought. Commentators seem to be on the side of the water park, and the comments online are savage. One guy said, build a wall and make the complainers pay for it. And another pointed out the irony. Palm Springs in the 70s was full of revving Harleys and topless sunburns. Now boomers are mad the younger crowds are having a little fun. As one commentator put it, sorry, but we're allowed to enjoy ourselves as well. So the consensus there seems to be, if you bought a home near a water park, what'd you really expect? But we also got emails saying Mr. Dunlap didn't address the issues and that we got it all wrong. Here's what Robert said. I don't think they were complaining about kids and people making noise. The problem is the music and thumping bass. Robert went on to say, let me go to a park near your house and play loud music and see how fast you complain. Rand was not pleased with us, and he suggested that if I wanted to be a real journalist, I should invite Mr. Dunlap back on and bring a decibel meter. Have him speak again and check the decibel level. You see, it's nowhere close to what he indicated. I guess if I was a real journalist, I would do that. But I guess I don't want to be a real journalist. Bottom line, we don't tell our guests what to say. After he spoke, we showed some clips of two residents who very clearly said the noise and the DJ were the issues. And another part of the interview, one of the residents said the wave machine was like a jet engine all day. We didn't have time to air that part. Now, just to be clear, from what we can gather, that area has had a water park in it for about 40 years. So here's a question. If you buy a home near a water park, what is your responsibility and what is the water park's responsibility? Email us at thedesertdean@gmail.com and we'll let you know what everybody thinks. Because you see, it just takes a little understanding to be a good neighbor. Lois Thousand Palms needs a 10 to 12-foot wheelchair ramp in mid-August and needs to know where she can find one. Barbara in Indian Wells needs to find a remediation company. It seems she has some pesky mold to take care of. Helen in Rancho Mirage needs some Hunter Douglas shades installed. She's looking for a reasonable company to do that for her. Nancy in Palm Desert looking for an amazing restaurant in Palm Springs that has just a little bit of everything.
This show is for everyone, especially people that don't watch it.
Does that make sense? Please make sense of the show.
Find Fred on Facebook and Instagram at Fred Roggin or email thedesertdean@gmail.com.
Is it really a bridge too far?
They say dogs are a man's best friend, but at NBC Palm Springs, we're a dog's best choice for news. Apologies to our competitors, but even your dogs know who leads the pack in news.
Night after night, discover the unique stories that set our valley apart. Together, we're going to find inspiration and foster connections that strengthen the fabric of our community.
Babies are experts at paying attention to only what is genuinely fascinating, and we couldn't agree more.
All right, let's stay in Palm Springs now. They're finally moving ahead with a bridge replacement on South Palm Canyon Drive to prevent road closures and floods. Been in the works since 2006. The old 1930s low water crossing is being swapped out for a modern 98-foot spanning bridge, complete with bike lanes, sidewalks, public art, better drainage under Arena's Canyon Creek. Construction started back in March with lane closures and demolition of the west side last May. Expected to be wrapped up by late 2026. Residents are split. Some say emergencies. A few years prove it's needed for life and safety. Others worry about environmental impact and question whether flooding is that severe. The city's keen to act before they lose $4.5 million in federal funds, but paused recently for more community input and updated environmental reviews. Jim, replacing the bridge to prevent rare flood closures worth $10 million, or is the danger overstated?
Totally worth it. I mean, you look at the money that's being spent for the sand barrier on North Gene Autry. I believe that's like $10 million for a bridge for a flood, whether it's every year or every 100 years. If it's a matter of human life, yes, spend the money.
You agree, Stephanie?
I agree completely. I understand that it's a sad thing because we're dealing with some environmental issues. I get that, but human life is important. And as we can see, floods can wipe out communities. We've had a lot of problems with flooding in our area. I think that it's something that we need to do.
All right, should emergency access and safety always outweigh environmental concerns in these infrastructure projects, Stephanie?
I don't know that it should always outweigh, but I mean, definitely we need to be concerned about life. We need to look at both sides and try to find a happy medium. But we need to be doing everything that we can to protect human beings as well as our environment and animals in that environment.
Jim?
What about?
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's a balance to that. And sometimes, you know, it's a common criticism of California that environmentalism takes over. And that's not to say that environmentalism isn't important, but there needs to be a balance. Humans have to come first. Public safety and human life has to come first. But I think you can have both.
Okay, and that being said, and I know there are a lot of committee meetings and a lot of public comment on this, but the reality is, and I agree with you, the public safety has to come first. How much resident debate do you need into these kinds of things? Because quite frankly, to me, it just seems like a no-brainer.
Yeah. I mean, you need to get this done because we will have another huge rainstorm like we did, 3 or 4 years ago and last year. It will happen again, and the road, could be closed and could seal people off.
California staple In-N-Out Burger is just out, at least the headquarters. We talked about it. California business law is getting too tough for Lindsay Snyder. She's taken her family in the iconic burger joint's headquarters to the quieter life in Tennessee. It is a big story. More businesses are leaving California, saying the state makes operating here more difficult. Our contributors Brian and Tammy agreed.
Huge issue. You get what you pay for, and our state has policies that are viewed by businesses as completely unfriendly. We tax the heck out of these businesses. What do you think they're going to do? pay them or move to a place that's more friendly. We have incredibly strong laws. We have a lot of great employment laws to protect employees, but some of them are so over the top and are so anti-business that we're motivating businesses to move.
I have a friend who has a business here and in Texas, but his home base was here in California. And so what he did is that he moved to Franklin, Tennessee, because he said the taxes and the laws were strict, but not as bad as California.
Once again, division seems to be the word of our day. Some folks are cheering, saying California's taxes and politics pushed her out. Others are rolling their eyes like, you're ditching California for a state with worse health care, education, and crime stats?
Good job.
Please stop. Perfect.
One guy joked that U-Haul's out of trucks again. That's how often people say they're leaving the state. Meanwhile, everybody's dragging politics into it. Red states versus blue states, In-N-Out versus Culver's, Newsom versus the world. While how one move sparked a full-on culture war in the comments. So first it was quiet quitting. Now there's a new buzzword making the waves in the workplace, quiet cracking. It refers to employees who are disengaging and mentally checking out without making a big fuss about it. Experts say this issue is becoming pretty common, especially as people navigate remote work and burnout. It's a subtle but serious problem that can impact productivity and team morale. Interesting how this term captures a growing trend in how we approach work. Ever experienced quiet cracking at work, Stephanie, or seen it in others?
I've seen it in others, and I do think that people do get burned out. I'm lucky. I love the work that I do, but it can be frustrating with other people, in the office that you may not get along with, or managers not understanding you. And so managers really need to step up and see what they can do about this. What do you think, Jim?
Yeah, I'm on the same page with that. I feel like, Ed used the word burnout, and that's exactly it. That's what we used to call this. And you can see it in others. And I think if you're a good manager, you check in with your team, maybe take them to lunch, take them to coffee, find out what's going on with them, what's good and what's bad, and what will inspire them to be excited about work again. Because most people around you can tell if you're not excited.
Yeah, what do you think companies can do to prevent this kind of disengagement? Okay, so Jim, you suggested that. What do you think, Stephanie?
I think that there should just be a lot of transparency. I think that people need to feel free to come and talk to the people that are in charge of them. I think that a lot of managers are seeing this, first experiencing it with a quiet quitting, and now this new phenomenon. I think that a lot more training needs to be done, and I have seen more training being done in companies because they want to combat this.
Okay, and how important do you think it is to have open communication in addressing workplace issues like this, Steph?
It's the most important thing that you can have. If you're not open and honest, if you feel scared to talk to the people that run the show, you're going to lose great employees. I've seen that happen over and over again. So great communication and transparency and accountability, I think, are very, very important.
Jim, you know what's funny about this? Years ago, if an employee goes to somebody they're working for and says, I got a problem with this, I got a problem with that, you know what the boss would say? Well, I'm going to solve your problem right now. Right. I fixed it. You're out of here. Go. But you can't do that anymore. How do you think some people would react if you came up to them and said, this just isn't working, we're stressed out, we need help? Do you think the person in charge would be receptive to that?
Well, I've done that before. After a period of time where I had been anchoring for a few years, I wanted to be back out in the field reporting, and I went to the news director and said, maybe we could drop one of these 4 shows a day that I'm anchoring, and I could be out in the field. And we made that change, and it really helped me to be excited again. So sometimes I think it's just as simple as going to talk to the supervisor, or the supervisor, keeping in touch with his team. I think that's critical.
All right. Actually, pleasant on my drive in this morning. Maybe we've hit a summer heat break, and the only way to find out is Chloe in super weather.
Hey, Fred, we're celebrating today. It was only 100. Could have been 108. Only 100. So, celebrate. Celebrate yourself, Fred.
Yeah, pull out your parkas. An atrium filled with music.
Riddle me this. What has an eye but cannot see?
During these hot summer months, many of us divide our time between the pool and close proximity to air conditioning. In this edition of Desert in a Minute, NBC Palm Springs Community Guide, Steve Summerall has a possible addition to your social calendar. It's in downtown Palm Springs, but it's very cool.
Yeah, I know it's been hot out, but maybe you should do yourself a favor and get out of your comfort zone and dance into another one. This is Friday night in Palm Springs. And the entertainment is brought to you courtesy of Leanna and the Free Agents. This performance was originally intended to be an outdoor show, but uncomfortable weather conditions said otherwise.
We were outside of the Hoodoo Lounge, and then the Hyatt was so kind, they brought us inside, and I mean, we've got the crowd, and everybody wants to come in and have a great time on Friday nights.
This space, known as the Hyatt's Atrium Lounge, has been closed to the public with the exception of private events for many years. As you can see, that has changed. You're putting together two of Palm Springs' favorite things to do: dance and stand under air conditioning.
Yes, and fans. We've got it all right here at the Hyatt in the beautiful atrium. I would feel like we're on a cruise ship, don't you? Happy hour, live music, there's a food menu, there's drinks, it's great energy, it's community, it's everything Palm Springs is right here under the Hyatt rooftop in downtown Palm Springs. You can't get better than this.
And this Friday night ritual will continue at the Hyatt all summer long. For Desert in a Minute, this is Steve Summerall for the Roggin Report.
Looks like fun. Okay, your daily dose of cuteness when we return.
Roggin Report was presented by the Living Desert Zoo and Gardens.
We're in the desert. Give us your hot take. Find Fred on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Fred Roggin.
You can also email thedesertdean@gmail.com. Don't desert us in the desert.
What has an eye but cannot see? A potato.
All right, appreciate you watching tonight. Wheel of Fortune is next.